Dad, you need to sit down and we're going to have one of the most important conversations in my life. Maybe I was crazy, maybe I was depressed. I didn't know what it was, but I was tired and I was really sad. I remember I quit my job the next day. You start having doubts. You start trying to figure out who you are despite your job title. I was looking for some peace and for my mind to calm down, and for some answers also of who I am. I still remember the first hour of coaching training. I had goosebumps everywhere on my body. If you give 100% of what you have and the maximum effort, you will never regret whatever is the outcome, because you know you've given your best. So obviously I was scared. Obviously sometimes I was maybe a bit too much when I started. You need to adapt and you need to learn also. And so that's where observing and looking around how people act and what do they do. Well, the first time that I was in a boardroom, I was extremely scared because I was really young. Because I had this creativity in me, I had this maybe emotional intelligence that sometimes I couldn't really find, so it was difficult for me to fit in.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Present Potential. I'm your host Hassan, and I'm so grateful and thankful that everyone keeps coming back and listening to our episodes and tuning in and messaging and engaging with us. I'm so happy to be back with another amazing person that I've had the pleasure of connecting with over LinkedIn, and also heard her story. And it's such an inspiring story to share. Today, I have a guest. Her name is Lucie Lachou, and we're going to be talking about her journey. Lucie has a similar journey to mine, but I think it's going to be even more profound when she shares her story. She was a C-suite executive. She was head of finance in one of the biggest pharma companies in the UAE, and then she decided to give everything up to start realizing what it is that's important for her. And throughout her journey, she's then started providing her services and her insights to her clients around the world. And in the natural fashion of present potential and my introduction to people, sometimes I miss out some things. So I'm going to stop talking here and I'm going to welcome Lucie. Lucie, welcome to Present Potential.
Hi, Hassan. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure. And your
Thank
introduction was quite good, actually. I like it.
Thank you. I'm practicing the more that I do it. But I'd love to begin by asking you to tell us just a little bit about who you are. Who is Lucie?
Lucie is a very driven person with a lot of duality in her personality. There is this side of me which is very artistic. I play the piano, I write songs. I love spending time with people. So there is this side of me, and the other side which is very driven, very ambitious. So really is always, trying to learn something. And I think that represents the best who I am, and also the people that I work with who have this drive in them, but at the same time they still want to keep this side of them where they can be really in touch with themselves and do activities that they enjoy. So yes, I think that's me in a nutshell, if I can say.
Thanks for sharing. And I love that duality. So there's that creative side, and then there's that driven side. And you're also bringing that to your clients and how you serve them. And when you started sharing that, I actually remember that one of the first engagements that I saw with you was you playing the piano and singing. And I was like, oh, wow, that's courageous to do. But you were amazing. And I was like, wow, she has such a great voice. Um, I'd love to start from there if it's possible. So how did you have that duality? Maybe even like growing up, did you explore different paths? Did you want to be an artist of some sort, or were you more interested in doing other things that eventually led you to becoming a CFO? What was it like when you were growing up?
I think it started with music. I started I think around 7 years old, and my dad is a big fan of music, so I really grew up with music. I remember learning my lesson at school, playing the piano, and my mom was like, Lucie, you need to stop playing and start working. And I was like, I'm learning, I'm doing both. It's so nice. It helps me, you know. So I think I grew up really with that, because at a young age, I wasn't someone competitive. I wasn't playing any sport or anything like that. It was only music. And you know, music is like a language. You really connect with people. I've never felt any competitivity within the artists that I was sharing my time with. Even during my competition in music, I was just scared, but I didn't have that competitivity within me. And I wanted to take that path. Actually, I think I've never actually shared that, but it's true. I wanted to take that path in life. I was a bit young, and my parents said, you need to hold on and to try to get a degree just to see where it goes. And I guess when I was in high school, you know, you grow up, maybe you discover yourself differently, and that's where the drive came to me. It started with the willingness to travel the world. I really wanted to discover other culture, maybe still linked with that part of me which is very creative and very close to people, but it started like this. And I started with accounting by a bit by a coincidence. I needed to choose something, and in France we have the choice between mathematics, economic, and literature, and nothing was resonated. So I took accounting, and from there I started to like accounting and finance, and I really liked it. It wasn't that it was very rigid or, you know, very close as sometimes we have that image of finance. It was more problem solving, and I really liked it from the beginning that I started accounting, and so I just followed that path. And that's how I arrived in finance, and that's why I started my career in finance.
Oh, wow, amazing. So growing up in France and wanting to become a musician or a creative of some sort, and then deciding to focus on one of the topics or subjects that resonated with you, which was mathematics. Um, Can you tell us a little bit about like that exploration process? I'm wondering because like even when I think about my childhood and growing up, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grow up. And I was just thinking, you know, when the time comes, I'll just study whatever it is, business or economics or something. But I didn't really know what it is that I wanted. How was that for you? Like, did you kind of have an idea of this is kind of the route that I want to go down to, even like playing the piano and singing, maybe having like extra courses or doing something around that? Or like how was it when you were in that stage of your life?
You know, I guess the choice of going to accounting was really like going into an adventure. I didn't know, because I didn't know. You know, you don't know that you like something until you try it and you experience it. So it was maybe by luck, but I just picked it because the other things were not resonating with me. And I remember there was a battle with my parents at the time, because it wasn't the usual path for people. People who are usually smart, if I can say that, they used to take the other road, and I really didn't want. So from a very young age, it was very important for me that I live something different, that I go into that exploration mode. That was a big part of me. And at the same time that I decide for myself, and that's very important to me. And so I guess on the way, and while I was learning about accounting, I never really have a doubt that that was where I wanted to go, because I was more and more far away from music at that time. You know, this is this teenage age, or I don't know, where you're in the high school and maybe you go out a bit, and music is maybe not that cool compared to before. I don't know what happened to me, but there was a time where I was really far from music, and I just keep going into that field. However, there is still a big influence from my parents, and I don't come from a very rich family. Actually, my dad was an entrepreneur. He started his company the two days before I was born. So we lived in a van at some point. We really struggled with money. So my parents always told me, yeah, yes, do what you like, but make money. It's important, Lucie. You need to do that. So I think it was kind of in me, within me, while I was growing up, and so I could imagine myself being in finance, my parents being proud, and me making money, having a house. It wasn't about making millions, but it was about having a good situation, stable situation, and so I guess that just made sense to me at that time. It wasn't really a problem. The only problem that I face of that duality and that beginning of questioning, let's say, between those two paths, was really when I was surrounded with really driven finance individuals. I felt very different because I had this creativity in me. I had this maybe emotional intelligence that sometimes I couldn't really find. So it was difficult for me to fit in. When I was going out with people who are not in finance and very different, so maybe entrepreneurs or artists, I couldn't fit very much because I was really driven and ambitious in my career where they didn't care about that. And when I was going with the finance or board advisors, they were very driven, and that was very interesting, but I couldn't find that connection that I used to find with my other group of people. And that's where I guess it all started in my mind. That's where the journey of what should I do and how can I really create an environment where I feel I can be myself fully started to grow in my mind. I hope it's clear the way I've described it.
Yeah, I mean, like what I'm hearing is that it's it's also really interesting to hear how your parents had influence on you, and especially like your father starting a new company 2 days before you were born. Like I can only
Mm.
imagine what he would have been going through during that time, and then aspiring to have that music ear or like that aspiration to continue in music, seeing him as well, like because you mentioned that he also enjoyed music, and then deciding what to do and making money and buying your house and going into that world and talking to people in the boardroom. I'm wondering like how was your experience the first time that you went into a boardroom or spoke to people in the company that you felt maybe something was different or you wanted something more. I'd love to hear something about that experience.
Well, the first time that I was in a boardroom, I was extremely scared because I was really young, surrounded by mostly men, very young looking face also. So I really looked like a young person. So I really needed to put the effort in my suit or, with the way that I was dressed in order to show that I had authority. But somehow I always maintain my level of authenticity. I never felt I really need to change myself in order to fit in because I knew that I had the answer. I knew that I was working hard. So I never doubt myself. Maybe this is a level of confidence somehow, that I knew that I could make it without really having to change myself. But the feeling that I had at the time, it's not fun. And why people are so cocky and pretentious, and why do we really need to act like this? And I found myself more being the person that would make a joke or would maybe make a compliment to someone, that the person is not used to that and they're a bit uncomfortable. But it was me trying to show that it's okay, we can breathe, we're here to work hard, but we can also, have this touch of genuinity maybe, or fun also, that was for me mandatory. And I believe that I think from a long time that there's this the way to make things happen. It's always with a lot of work and a lot of fun, and so it just makes sense to me to try at least to bring a bit of that light and that enjoyment into the place. Obviously I was scared. Obviously sometimes I was maybe a bit too much when I started. You need to adapt and you need to learn also. And so that's where observing and looking around how people act and what do they do, and starting to try to talk to them in the way that resonates with them, started. And that's how I try to fit in that room.
Yeah, I love that you said authenticity. So even if you're trying to fit in and trying to be yourself as well, but feeling that there's some difference there. And it resonates as well because like I've had similar experiences and I'm wondering like once you accomplish something or let's say once you got that job that you wanted or you went into the boardroom and you met these people who were being cocky and such, how was it for your parents? Like, did you call them right afterwards saying, "This is what I've done," or did you tell them something and they felt so proud? Or I'm just wondering how that engagement must have been.
Yeah, yes, of course. My parents were very proud of me, very proud of the fact that I went to Ireland to work and then to the UAE. But it's really funny because my mom is someone that is really old school in a way that she really wants the best for me, which for her is stability, house, money, and good job. And my dad told me that's really good, but when are you going to fail? I remember that, and he's still to that day he's telling me I wish you fail, and it means a lot. He's an entrepreneur and he knows that you experience a lot while failing and not only while being successful in whatever you're doing. But for sure my parents were always very supportive of any decision that I've made, but also they were extremely proud, and I was happy to tell them, but it wasn't something that it was just part of the story. I wouldn't be super proud of being a CFO, or I was more proud when, for example, we asked me to implement a transformation and someone was actually happy about it because we had a discussion or stuff like that. That would resonate much more with me than saying, "Oh, she's the only young person in the board and she has made a presentation." For me, the feedback of people, the conversation that I had with people were always much more important. And somehow it's not really what you tell your parents. You're just telling them, "Oh yeah, look, I got promoted," and stuff like that. So they were happy with that and proud, obviously, but that's not what made me proud at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. And then, so when you left the field, how were their responses when you decided to just go the other way?
Two different response from two very different individuals. My mom was really annoyed, and angry. Of course, not at me, but I think she was really scared because, I mean, I am in Dubai, so you cannot make a mistake. You cannot not generate money for a long time because life is expensive here. She couldn't process in her head how is it possible that someone who has the CFO role in a company here is just leaving everything behind for nothing, because literally I quit without a plan. So she couldn't figure out that, and she thought, "Oh, you always want more, you always want adventure, it's going to cost you so much, you don't realize." She was really, really, really pissed, to the point that we needed to have a conversation together where I explained to her that she's my pillar and I love her very much and she needs to trust me. Comparison with my dad is the person that actually helped me make the decision. He had the big impact on me. I remember calling him. I was feeling exhausted and feeling that there was something more to me for a long time. And I called him and I said, "Dad, you need to sit down and we're going to have one of the most important conversations in my life. I want you to listen for an hour. Maybe I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but I really need you to help me." And so I explained to him what I was feeling despite the money, the title, and everything that I've built, that I wasn't satisfied and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Maybe I was crazy, maybe I was depressed. I didn't know what it was, but I was tired and I was really sad. And his answer was, "What do you want me to tell you? You have money, you're young, you have a good CV." He said to me, "Money is a tool, Lucie. It's not here to be accumulated with or nothing. It's you. You need to use it to build the life that you want. So if you're not happy and if you have an idea, go for it." And I remember I quit my job the next day, literally the next day, because it was the relief that I needed from my parents. So you see, two people, and that's actually what influenced me also in my career. But two people, very different and very different opinion,
Oh wow, it must have been like completely different conversations from what you were sharing.
completely.
I can resonate as well because like when I left and I told my mother the same thing and she's like, "But how are you gonna survive? Like, what are you gonna do? And where's the salary gonna come from? And even now, like I have a salary from my company and she still doesn't get it. She's like, but you need to work somewhere to get a salary. It's like, yeah, I'm okay, mom. Thanks for the care. And I love that you said that you asked them to have this conversation. It sounds like there was so much trust and as well, like you wanted them to understand and also get their guidance and what they feel. And it's interesting to see like that duality that maybe also gave you different insights as to like what you could do once you resign. And then having a conversation with your father and resigning the next day, like that is just a very clear signal of like, yeah, I mean, if I'm feeling like this, then why not? And how was it like? So you resigned and you didn't have a plan. What was, I wouldn't say the first day or second day because like we get really excited if we resign or when we resign. But how was it
Yeah,
after 1 week or 3 weeks? What were you thinking or feeling?
it was really hard. It was really hard because, as you said at the beginning, it's just a relief, and you sleep and you see lot of opportunities, and it's exciting. And then you start having doubts. You start trying to figure out who you are despite your job title. And I think that's something that I really struggled with because I was known everywhere as Lucie, the strong woman who's traveling the world, who's getting things done. And people really admire that side of me, I felt. And so it was really difficult for me to understand who I am and to find value in me without performing in finance. That is something I really struggled with. And also, I had a lot of free time. And I never had a lot of free time for the last 7 years. So it was extremely difficult. You just need to sit down with your thoughts, and when you've never done any type of work, when you've never experienced that, it's extremely difficult. I felt very lonely. I felt like I was worthless. I didn't know what to do. I had no idea of what I could bring to the table. I didn't even know if I could build a business. I had no idea. So it was a very tough moment. I actually went to Bali. Funny story, but I try to do the Bali trip that everyone is doing. I am extremely scared of flying all the time, since forever. This time is the only time that I wasn't scared at all because I was so low that I thought it doesn't matter. Whatever happened, if we crash, we crash. I don't care. I need to get my answer. So that I was that rock bottom at that time. It was extremely difficult.
Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing with us. Like it's I can imagine as well, and especially being in a country where you need to have some sort of income or
Hmm.
to put food on the table and not have family around. So it plays a major role. And when you said that you're afraid of flying, but taking that flight, you were okay with it and didn't feel that fear of flying. Like it sounds like there was such a big driver or like pull that you had to do and to take over and to change what you're doing. And how was that? Like once you went to Bali, like what was it that you were looking for?
I was looking for some peace, and for my mind to calm down, and for some answers also of who I am. That was really my journey, and I didn't find it in Bali because in Bali I was stressed all the time. I had my mindset before was that I'm never enough. So I thought it wasn't good enough, and I was maybe too big, not too good, not whatever it was. And I had this beautiful retreat with a lot of massages and stuff like that. But it was completely pointless because my mind wasn't ready. But I thought that that would give me the answers. It didn't. But as you said, the fact that I took that flight and that trip, that was my body, my mind telling me that's enough. That's enough now. You cannot stay in that situation where you don't really know what you're doing. It's not you. You need to start moving forward. You need to be stronger. You need to be resilient. And this is a decision that you have made. So now you need to fix it. You need to understand and start believing a bit more in yourself. And I didn't see it like this when I did the trip and I came back. But for sure, it was something that changed the whole perspective, because when I came back, it wasn't immediately, obviously, but still things started to happen. I opened my mind to other things. I really start working hard on my mindset, on myself, and I was much more open to start this new journey.
Oh, wow. That's such an inspiring story, like just changing completely and changing the environment as well, going to a different place and looking for answers, not getting the answers, and then coming back and saying, still looking for the answers. And what helped you then to understand what it is that you wanted to do? What was a signal or a pattern or maybe somebody that you spoke to or some reflections? What helped you gain more clarity and insight as to like what could be the next step?
So I started with the idea to start something by my own, and that was pretty clear. I was thinking, I thought at the time a lot of people are doing business online, so I'm sure that I can offer something because I had a bunch of skills. But what really led me to coaching, which is what I'm doing now, was me trying to figure out my own mind and going into a coaching certification to coach myself. I never thought I would be a coach because I was very reluctant to coaching, but yet I went to the coaching certification thinking that it's going to give me the tools that I'm looking for. It's going to help me to get my answer, find my purpose and stuff like that. And I still remember the first hour of coaching training. I had goosebumps everywhere on my body. And I thought, that's it. That's what I was doing. I can do that. I know how to do it. I'm sure. Like, I love it. And I was almost more excited to coach my peers than they were excited about their own life and coaching because I loved it so much. And so I realized that everything that I have done before was because I had this ability or this curiosity, I would say, about others, the curiosity about the mind. And that just made sense. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start coaching people. And it was difficult, obviously. And you know that, I'm sure at the beginning you doubt and you don't know where to start and stuff like that. But I knew that somewhere around that will be where I'm supposed to be. And again, to that date, I'm open to other perspective and other paths, but coaching so far has been extremely fulfilling, and I feel like I can truly be in flow and be myself, even more than what I've done before. Even if I always thought I was really myself, I think I can really bring something different to the table. So I guess that's where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, wow. And I can completely resonate with that as well. Because, like, in my journey, it was either to start talking to people to help me to understand what it is that I'm going through, which eventually I did. But then it was coaching that I just explored. I didn't know what it
Mm.
was. And I thought, like, coaching is, am I going to be like a football coach? Or even these days, if I tell people I'm a coach, they're like, oh, really? So what kind of sport? I'm like, well, it's a different kind of sport. But like I completely know what you mean and getting those goosebumps and understanding yourself more and then doing something completely different. And eventually, like once you started focusing on building your business and growing and what were some of the skills that you were able to take from your experiences and also like from your career that you started implementing in your business to even grow further?
Finance is a big plus whenever you build a business, because I know how accounting works. I know the rules. I know finance, so I can easily put up a business plan, understanding what money I need to make. This, and I have this interest because I like it, so it was easy. So I think finance, of course, I took that. But also, this I would say more IT tech interest, because I'm not good, but I have an interest. So it really helped me in my coaching business to find the right tools that are helping me on my daily basis. Also, when I was a CFO before, we were working in fast growing companies. So we had a bunch of operational and strategic tasks to do. So I wasn't reluctant to do the operational stuff, the little things, that sometimes when you are in a role where you have been strategic for so long, you don't really want to get back to the operational and system and trying to figure out and learning new skills everywhere. because you've learned to delegate a lot, and so it's not really what you want to do. That's because of the nature of my roles as a CFO before. I still have that, and to that day, there's a lot of things that I could delegate, but I like doing it. They're operational, but it makes me feel that I really understand deeply my business. I can run it well, and also that helps you to build a lean business. You take on more tasks, you learn to make it more productive, and you build systems so you don't have to hire a lot of people. So I guess all of that were really helping me for my coaching business.
That's amazing. So it's like using the skills that you developed and applying them as you go along to anything that you're doing, especially like IT and with the world now these days and AI and how things are changing and everything's so seamless and easy and automated and different
Yeah.
tools that we can use. It's so true. And having you mentioned like that lean business and what are some of the key aspects that you really love about what you're doing in your business that make it like a lean business, like a lean startup that helps you to be even more productive.
For me, I love writing, and when we are on social media, we have to write, right? So I love writing. I love using AI in order to help me also in that sense. That is something that I know a lot of content creators don't really enjoy, and so they're trying to find people who can write for them. I think that's actually the reason why my business is successful. Also, it's because those are my words, those are my experience, and so people can really resonate a lot in that. So writing is something that I want to keep, and that I keep on purpose to make it, as lean as I can. Most of the tasks really are made by me. I work only with one person who is helping me with the social media part of things, in terms of engagement and things like this, but the rest is all on me. I feel is really about having some systems and making sure that you're on point, being very organized in what you're doing, even if sometimes it's a bit messy, of course, as a startup. But what I would recommend anyway is to not try to get too many people doing things for you. I think this phase where you are a solopreneur and you're alone, it is very important because you really understand the business deeply. You really understand everything in detail. And so you're so much better as a leader or as a manager or as a business owner later on, because you know the operational stuff, you know what can be done. Of course, then you hire experts who are experts, so they will help you to understand certain things. But at the beginning, at least for me, it was extremely important to start alone that journey and to do everything by myself. Now, I am creative, so I like the creative stuff. Even if I'm not good at it, I really like and I enjoy it. So that helps.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that because like being a creative, you usually have some sort of artistry to it and solving something or just coloring outside of the box or creating a symphony that's completely different. Because you said you also continue to play and create music.
Yeah.
And h- how do you see that like with your business? Because now you're basically combining that duality of becoming CFO and becoming a coach, and then you're basically doing the same things at the same time. How has it been since? Like, what are the experiences since you've gone through this journey?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's very challenging. Entrepreneurship is much more challenging than what I thought it would be. So the strategy part of the business is extremely interesting. It is in an industry that I have never worked in before. So there's a lot of trials and error, and mostly when you try to scale your business for such a type of service, it's a big problem that you need to solve, and that's interesting. The fact that you are the person who is generating the revenue, so your effort are the result really of your business, that also feed a lot of the drive that I have and the hard work that I have. And at the same time, I have the creativity when it comes to marketing, when it comes to resources, but also I have this contact with people. And I don't only use my skill to do what I do, I also use a lot my pain, because I understand pretty much what people have been through. And when we have our conversation, which I always say those are the tough conversations, I also use that part of me, the part where I was in pain and I can relate, and I have this ability to give the space to people who, despite their job, despite their title, they never say, I don't like what I'm doing because they feel guilty about it, or they never say it because no one understands around them. And knowing that I'm the person to who they can say it, and the person with who they are going to work toward a better end, that feeds a part of me that I have never discovered before, not to that extent. And that is really my therapy also. And I keep saying that, but this is true. This is, I'm learning so much, and they help me in my life. You know, when you have your down moment, then my client lift me up, because I'm thinking, oh, he did that and he thought of this, and look at this transformation, and that's also lifting me up. So it's all the aspect of my personality are there, but also all the skills and the experience are used, and that's what makes make it so easy and also so motivating every day and exciting to get into that sphere. Now, it's not beautiful every day. I'm giving a portrait where everything is beautiful. That's not true. It's hard work, and you know that for sure. There's a lot of also rejection and hard time, but it's, you know, if you have the right mindset and if you have the ability to understand yourself well and to be rooted and grounded in who you are, you're unstoppable.
Thanks for sharing. And it sounds like your authenticity as well coming out, that this is what I really love, and I'm connected to the people that I work with because I've been there and I've experienced it. And it's not easy. It's still running a business. It's being a solopreneur and finding solutions to challenges and making decisions quickly to be able to serve and to grow. And it might seem like it's so easy from the outside, but then once you're there and you see it, it's so important. And I liked what you shared as well about, like, you're running the business and you're also generating the revenue. So if you're not doing anything, then nothing will work. So there's that aspect as well, and accountability and responsibilities and connecting to people. Like, it's just a completely different world. And I also really loved how you showed your passion, because it's so important. And it's when we're in those trenches or like in the lows, and it happens daily sometimes even, it's where our why becomes so strong that it covers anything else, and you just keep on going. And at this point, like, I'm wondering, who would have been someone that you looked up to when you were growing up, or even now, especially like going through the challenges and building? Is there someone that comes to your mind as a role model, or someone that you keep thinking about?
You know, I keep thinking about this question recently. I don't know why. It's a question that came back a lot. And I never really find someone that I admired on every level, in the sense that someone that has that drive and also that genuinity. And I would say that instead of having a role model, I've met through that journey of coaching incredible people. Really, that those people are my model. People who, you know, have the same way of thinking, that you can achieve so much in life, but at the same time you can do it the right way, where you find a type of happiness, and where you take the time for you also. And I think those people right now are really much more the people that are inspiring me, because I don't know if it's a reflection, or I don't know how does that work, but that's what I'm looking up to people. Usually when I have people that I admire, it would be mostly in their career. But when I start digging and understanding their personal life, it's crap. And so it's difficult for me to admire that. I admire the resilience, I admire the path, the career path, but it's difficult for me to admire that, because that's not my objective. My objective is to build something really cool professionally, but also doing it in alignment with what I want, meaning that it's meaningful and fulfilling in a way, in at least most of the days, you know. And so I'm still trying to figure out. But there is still one person. My dad is someone that I have always look Up to, how do we say in English? I'm not sure it's that. um, I always I always admire his communication skills and his ability to be practical yet very understanding. And even if I don't want to be exactly like him, obviously, it's still someone who has an influence of me. His words resonated from the young age. We always had that. I remember whenever I wanted to negotiate something, go out or anything, instead of shouting or punishing me, my dad would always tell me, sit and explain to me the reason why you want to do that. And so we had so many debates, so many a long conversation where I felt I could really express myself and express what I was feeling, that with time, and now that I am an adult, I it created a lot of respect, and I want that in my life and with my children also. So in that sense, that would be the person that I look up to.
Amazing. It sounds so great. Like you're seeing from different aspects who you want to take different parts of, and then that creative side, that father that you've had and you've spoken to and trusted, and he guided you and gave you all that advice and support, and just sitting down and talking and negotiating, like that type of parenthood is so important. And I sometimes think about it as well, because like with my daughters, I really want to spend more time to talk to them and understand what they want, because it's so different. Like growing up, for our parents than us. Our parents, like I'm sure for most of us, if not all of us, want the best for us. And it's exactly what you shared earlier about how your mother wanted you to continue growing and doing the best because she really cares and she's so scared about things not working out. And it's the same for me. Like my mother still has that same mindset and mentality because of how she grew up. And being a father myself, like I can completely resonate with what you're sharing, because it's so important for me to support my kids, to help them rediscover or discover or know themselves better so that they can make the decisions that they want. It's their life at the end of the day. And I love that you shared that as well. Um, well, one thing that I wanted to also ask was what's next? Like, so now you've gone from C-suite, you've built a business, you're growing, you're learning as you're going, and you're doing things that you love. What do you see next for you? Usually they say, well, what do you see in the next 5 or 10 years? But like, I think the world is changing too quickly. So just generally,
Yes.
like, what do you see next for you, or something that you'd be really interested in accomplishing in the future?
Right now, I'm really focusing on my business and how can I scale that business. How can I help more people, but at the same time, how can I enter in the industry with complex, high profile? That's really my goal, because this is what I am passionate about. I'm passionate by complex minds, by people who really are reluctant to a lot of change and understand the pain that they're going through, and how can I ease that with some mindset techniques and things like this. So I see that. I see a book also. I want to write a book about all of this, to again talk a lot more about it's okay to be not happy even if you have a lot of money, because I think we talk a lot about people who want to generate money, people who want to be productive and are not productive, but we don't talk about people who know how to get things done yet can't figure out how to live their life. And that's something that I'm passionate about, and I want to help more people. So I see that I'm trying also to build a community around the people that I work with. So those are small, let's say, short to middle term objective, if I can say. On the long term, I think if I can, I'd love to spread the word worldwide. I would like to, maybe have some talks about that, maybe being seen as an expert. And so to do that, it implies a lot of research. It implies maybe some collaboration with people in order to explain it more scientifically, if I can, certain of the topic that I believe in and that I'm coaching in. But I think a lot of support from the scientific field would be interesting. So that's what I see for me, building a family. I don't have kids yet, so that will be certainly on the way, and taking care of the people around me. You know, my parents are getting old, so making sure that I'm building a life where I can be myself, but I can support people around me. I want to work hard. I want to succeed. I want to make money. That doesn't remove that part of me, but I want to do it right, and I think I want to prove to myself that this is possible, and that's what that's what my mission is.
Amazing. That's such a clear vision. And as soon as you publish your book or become a speaker somewhere or something, I'd be one of the first people there to engage and learn and listen. I'm
Thank you,
sure that it's
Hassan.
going to be full of insights. Thank you so much, Lucy, for sharing with us. And usually, what we have on Present Potential is we end each episode with a tradition, and we get to ask our guests to share some words of wisdom or a motto or some words that they reflect or repeat to themselves, especially if they're going through challenges. What would be something that you could share with us that has helped you through the years and also going through the your own experiences and journey from CFO and building your business? And what's something that you can resonate with that just stands out?
I heard a quote. I don't remember who she was because it was a woman, at least that I saw her saying. And she said, it's not about the decision, it's about making the decision the right one. And I like that because it avoids you to have regrets. Because when you're thinking about the past, you think, oh, I should have maybe done that and I regret that. But you don't know the outcome of this. So it's a waste of time to really think about the scenarios that you think could have happened. So that has helped me to move past certain situation, but also to be focused in what I want to do. And that's what I encourage people to do. It doesn't matter if you want to stay in corporate, if you want to build your business, if you want to stay in a relationship or leave the relationship. Spending time overthinking all the scenarios is not helping you. What will work is if you decide to stay, then make sure that this decision is the right one. Work on your environment, work on you, work on your relationship around you. Make sure that this is the right one, and that's what keeps me going. During the tough time. It's not about quitting. It's not about thinking what could it have been if I would have done something differently. It's about working hard toward making sure that I was right. Maybe there's a bit of ego in that, but making sure that this decision is the right one. So I hope it can help other people to, start making decision and working toward it.
Sure it would. And it's so true because like sometimes we tend to overthink or procrastinate or even reflect and say, oh, I should have done something else. But the way that you've put it or phrased it is just, make that decision, have the courage to decide what you want to do and make that decision the right decision. So you put everything into it, and whatever happens, then happens.
Exactly. And as you said, it's about giving 100% of what you have. If you give 100% of what you have and the maximum effort, you will never regret whatever is the outcome because you know you've given your best. So that's really the mindset.
Thank you so much, Lucy. I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful for your time and for your energy and sharing all the wisdom with us. And I get to also read all of your posts and your words that you share with everyone and engage and learn as I go along. And I'm sure that everyone else would be doing the same. So thank you again for joining us.
No, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you all for joining Present Potential. I hope that you also had a lot of takeaways from our discussion today. And as always, remember that today is the most important day of your life. Thank you for watching and listening to Present Potential. If you found value in this episode, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more. Join the conversation in the comments and let us know your biggest takeaway. If you'd like to listen to other inspiring stories, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Make sure to also follow us on Instagram under Present Potential Podcast, where you get to see behind the scenes and engage with us.